Hello and welcome to the February 16th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, there is some budget for this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you so much for tuning in or catching the replay on our Facebook and YouTube pages. That's right, we are simulcasting between Facebook and YouTube. Hooray! This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate all of the articles sent in by you, the viewers. Hello, Rebecca in the Facebook chat, and shared, thank you very much. That is greatly appreciated. Likes, shares, comments, all of that stuff. Just helps us get good news into the algorithm, so every little bit helps. Thank you so much. Christian in the YouTube is saying, "Hey, the simulcast is working this time." Oh yeah. The last episode, man, it was like all over the place. YouTube kept being fine, and Facebook was like, "I don't want you to stream today," and I'm like, "I'm gonna beat you into submission." So it worked. So let's start off with our news brew. Hello, Cassidy in the Facebook chat. So this is going to be possibly the last of the boxed beers for a little bit. While I was out looking for beers at a nice place nearby called Cloud9, I managed to find this gem. This, and I'll try to get the camera to zoom in on it. This is Cold Smoked Cherry Darkness Imperial Stout by Surly Brewing Company. This is a 2023 variant of their Darkness line of beer. And I did several of the Darkness line throughout last year, and this is the last one that I think I'm going to be able to find for a while. So, a boxed beer. And the artwork on this can, the artwork on all these boxed beers from them is absolutely bonkers. Just crazy cool. So this is a 12%, I believe, a 12% ABV Barrel-Aged Imperial Stout. It was laid down on cold smoked cherries and dark sweet cherry puree. I am looking forward to this for this time of season. This is going to be a big stout. Because it is an Imperial Stout, we are going to use the harpoon snifter that everybody's probably getting annoyed with at this point. Hope it's good. Amazing art. Hi, Charlie. Yes, hello, everybody. All right, so we don't need the Balisong bottle opener because we got a beer. Hi, Chris in the YouTube. Let's get the crack on this and blow the gain on the audio. Oh, I didn't blow the gain. All right. And now, let's get into the theatrics of a 30 second pour. Oh my gosh. It just pours darkness. All the way, good to the last drop. This is going to be a good beer. Let me get all that out of the way. I think it looks like it has a purple tint just because of like the monitor lighting. The actual color of it is extremely dark brown, and there maybe was a little bit of red to it. Chris, the beer, to catch up, I see that you asked that in the YouTube. The last of our boxed beers, Cold Smoked Cherry Darkness from Surly Brewing Company. Shoutouts. Fox and Hen Winery is going to be hosting its opening day of the 2025 season on Saturday, February 22nd. If you want some fine wine or cider, Fox and Hen Winery is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale and specializes in small batch wines and ciders that reflect the Lake Michigan climate. You can check them this Saturday from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. For their official season opener. So to Fox and Hen for opening up for their 2025 season on this upcoming Saturday, February the 22nd. Cheers. Hello, Ben, in the chat, in the Facebook chat. A beer that consumes all light. Rebecca would have this beer if she could. Charlie says it's beautiful. And I agree. It's smoky, it's cherry, but it's not like... So I have another beer that's on my do not drink list is cherry beer. On a trip that I took to the Outer Banks many years ago, I drank way too much cherry ale, and ever since a lot of cherry beer is done with tincture or or extract, and it doesn't come out right. It's got a very chemical taste to it. This is not. This tastes fantastic. Fantastic. We've got a good beer. All right, some other shout-outs. A belated happy birthday to Nick's Newsie, Cassidy. Cassidy celebrated their birthday on the 13th of February. So to Cassidy, sorry that we missed it, and cheers. And then lastly, a happy birthday to Sarah and Greta, two of our other Nick's Newsies, who are both celebrating their birthdays on the 16th. So to Sarah and Greta and Cassidy, everybody, happy birthday and cheers. Oh. Can you imagine the smokiness of bacon? I don't know how they smoke cherries, but I feel like the cherries were smoked with bacon because it's got that smoky meat kind of scent to it, and I'm fine with that in a beer. Holy crap. Oh. All right, news quote. You are never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream. That comes from Clive Staples Lewis, who's better known as C.S. Lewis, who was a British writer, literary scholar, and an Anglican lay theologian, who is best known as the author of the Chronicles of Narnia series. So again, you are never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream. And I think we all need to remember that around this time. So to C.S. Lewis, thank you very much for the Chronicles of Narnia and your other works, and for that quote. Cheers. Bug update. Elmira is enjoying the underground vacation. She is still hibernating. Sue is a surly little monster, and he's completely shifted his cycle to avoid me. I can tell that he's been coming out because he leaves little marks on the glass when he walks around, and then I clean the glass and he puts the marks back on it. But he is basically, whatever time he's coming out, I probably need to put a webcam on that tank at night to see when he's coming out. Do a Sue cam for a night and see what his cycle is, because he is avoiding us at all costs now. Droopy and the Kurgan are doing well. I think that Droopy is in pre-molt. He's refusing food, and the Kurgan is doing just fine. He's getting around just fine, so hopefully we'll have some good molts from them, and they will continue to grow, our two little mantises. All right, let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that get to your heart that we like to end on. So, we will start with category 1, science and technology, and we called this first one Paving the Way to a Green Tomorrow. And I will copy and paste this article into the chat if y'all want to read along. Hey, Mary Jane in the Facebook chat. Good to see you. Hey, Riven in the YouTube. I'm rooting for Droopy. So, I don't know if you caught it, Riven, but Droopy and the Kurgan have been separated. The fight is over. I am not going to make them fight to the death. Another Nick's Newsie, Joey, convinced me that that was a bad idea and that we should just take care of two mantises. So they're both the winners. The fight is over. We'll see what they... Maybe we'll have a new race to see when they become adults. And we'll see who gets to the finish line there. So... All right. China plans to resurrect dead wind turbine blades to create crack-free roads. A novel approach. Oh, this article was posted to Interesting Engineering, and this was posted on February 13th of 2025 by Amaya Palasia. A novel approach developed by researchers at the Lanzhou Institute of Chemical Physics in China could radically change how retired wind turbines are viewed, switching them from waste that must be disposed of to a crucial component in another product. This could help push the clean energy agenda aimed at a greener future, a Chinese media report said. Wind turbines have been extensively deployed to meet clean energy demand all over the globe. Interesting Engineering has previously reported how China-based equipment manufacturers are building bigger and better wind turbines that can harvest large amounts of energy in a single sweep. The industry has strong roots in the extensive deployment of wind turbines in China over the years. Designed to last 20 to 25 years, many of these turbines are now set to retire, raising questions about their disposal. Under the aegis of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a research team led by Tang Zicheng at the Lanzhou Institute found a way to turn the retired wind turbines into a valuable resource for the construction industry. Wind turbine components such as gearboxes, hubs, and towers are made from metal and can be recycled as scrap at the end of the product life cycle. However, recycling the large blades is not that straightforward. Designed to be lightweight to ensure high energy conservation, these blades are made from glass fiber, carbon fiber, and epoxy resin. While these deliver the necessary strength and lightweightness during operation, they also present a challenge when it comes to recycling them. Currently, no scalable or cost-effective approaches to recycling them exist. China will get large numbers of these turbines shortly before the rest of the world. To overcome this challenge, Tang's team decided to transfer the high strength and corrosion resistance properties in their turbine blades onto urban construction. Using a mix of physical crushing and chemical treatments, the team successfully incorporated the turbine blade components into cement and asphalt mixtures. If you have been watching our programs, you are aware of how cool I think concrete is. I did a couple of papers and research assignments on it in college. I honestly had aspirations to be a civil engineer at one point, but my schooling took me a different direction. But cement and concrete are awesome, and finding new ways to make it is even better. The modified mixtures were then trialed at a small section of the Qingfu Highway in the Lanzhou in Gansu Province in northwest China in September of 2024. This was achieved in collaboration with a local construction company, which was confirmed that the built pavement showed promising results even after over 5 months of construction. According to the report, the section has not shown any cracks or material detachment even after 5 months of usage, proving that the material can be used in such applications. The researchers are now working to demonstrate their technology on larger scale projects and have teamed up with private industry and research organizations to take this further. In the long run, they intend to develop a scalable and reliable method to deal with wind turbines that reach the end of their life cycle. Tang is confident that in the future the technology could be used to repurpose aging wind turbines into more valuable resources for other industries too. In addition to boosting the clean energy industry, the approach will help China accelerate towards its net zero goals. And there is a video attached talking about the project. So to everybody involved at the Lanzhou Institute with breaking down wind turbines to create a new cement product for civil engineering uses, cheers. That's a good beer. All right, this next one comes from Mona. Mona, thank you very much for sending this in. We called it Mars, Dust in the Wind. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Shasta High students' Mars project selected by NASA for high-altitude tests. This was posted to KRCR ABC. It was posted on February 13th of 2025 by Ashley Harding and Mike Mangus. He's out and about. I knew I heard him. I heard the clack-clack of his claws against the glass. Sue is out and about. I was wrong. He decided to grace us with his presence. A team of students from Shasta High School has been selected by NASA to design and test a solution for space exploration, specifically aimed at making life on Mars possible. Their project is one of 60 chosen from over 720 proposals submitted by students nationwide. The students are honing their soldering skills as they work on a small payload weighing less than 2 pounds, which will be sent up by NASA in a high-altitude balloon. The project involves sensors covered in varying depths of simulated Martian soil to test its effectiveness in blocking radiation. Charlie in the Facebook chat shouts, "Hi, Sue. Queen of Nerds in YouTube." I was so scared for a moment there on what the gasp was about. We'll see if he comes crawling out. Usually, if he does, he'll climb up. It's so hard aiming this. He'll climb up onto the top of this hide. So keep an eye out for him to come crawling around. He's definitely out and about, though. It's just been a while. Like, I check on him every day. I know where his hide is. So he's been fine, but I just haven't seen him moving around. And, well, I don't know what it is that's got him riled up today, but he is out to grace us with his presence, possibly. We'll see. If you see him, just shout Sue in the chat to alert me that he is on the hide. He heard me talking about there can be only one with the mantises and he wants to join the fray. He'd kill everything. He is a destroyer. Alright, let's get back to the article. We are going to encase the sensors in Martian soil. Then we are going to have a few different levels, said Zach Brown, a Shasta High School student. We are going to have a control with no soil, another with a little bit of soil, and finally a third one with a bit more soil. What that allows us to do is to take multiple points of data and determine how much Martian soil we need to bury ourselves under the surface to be fully protected from radiation. So a problem that Mars has is it doesn't have much of an atmosphere. It has one, but it's super thin, and it's lacking a lot of the elements that ours has that protect us from solar radiation. So one of the problems that any astronauts that go to Mars are going to be facing is that amount of radiation. However, we've discovered that a great blocker of radiation is dirt. So what the basis of this whole test is for is to see what levels of Martian soil are required to block all of that solar radiation, because the thought is probably one of the best ways we can protect astronauts on Mars is to build underground habitats. So it's really cool science, and the fact that they have a high school trying to pull this off is great. Mary Jane in the Facebook, the facial expression you make when you take a pull on that beer. It's a good beer. Cheers. All right, back to the article. We are going to do experiments on the Geiger counters to see if we need the protective case or if it is more space efficient in the box with the non-case Geiger counters, said Nicholas Wood, a Shasta High student. Quinn, a member of the team, said one of the biggest challenges is working with the strict weight and size limits to include the computer, memory, soil, sensors, and a camera. One of the factors of our experiment specifically is the amount of Martian soil that we can fit in our box because it is such a small space, said Quinn Samet, a Shasta High student. We have to account for the Geiger counters. I think one of the hardest parts is going to be the math of how to fit everything in the box. All 60 projects will be sent up in a balloon, which will eventually collapse at over 70,000 feet. The payloads will then parachute back to Earth where the data will be analyzed. So a very cool experiment being from NASA that's being taken on by a team of students from Shasta High School. Cheers to them and to Mona for sending in that article. It really is cool science. When I was in college, one of the classes that I had, a engineering design course, we actually did tackle a couple of different ideas for some NASA stuff. I don't know how much I'm able to talk about it, apart from like that. But it's really cool seeing high school students being able to get into this, starting to do the math, starting to look into very advanced sciences like radiation, Geiger counters, soil. So this is really cool. Thank you, Mona, for sending that in. There it is. All right, so that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. And we called this article, One Step Closer to Mjolnir Armor. Now, if you're familiar with the Halo franchise, which I very much am, that's where I pull Mjolnir from. And if it ever gets like this, sign me up for a suit. I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Do y'all see him? I heard him. Oh, I can see him in the camera. Oh, he just fell away. I wonder what the delay is if anybody's been watching that tank. I just saw him. I think the camera... Oh, there it is. There's the delay. Producer Donna spotted Sue. Awesome. I'm glad he's out and about. He's chonky. Oh, he's climbing back up. All right. I think the camera might be trying to zoom in on him. It probably likes him more than me. But let's get to this article. Robotic exoskeletons aid in mountain climbing and elderly care. This was posted to the Global Times on February 11th of 2025 by Xinhua. During this year's Spring Festival, Mount Tai in East China's Shandong province, one of the most iconic mountains in the country, introduced an innovative exoskeletal robot. The wearable device, designed to assist with climbing, has garnered attention for its ability to make the arduous ascent at Mount Tai more accessible and enjoyable, especially for the elderly and mobility-impaired visitors. It really works. Once I put it on, my legs didn't hurt anymore. It felt like someone was pulling me uphill. Li Chengdi, a 68-year-old tourist from the provincial capital of Jinan, said after trying the device. Developed jointly by the Taishan Cultural Tourism Group, or the TCTG, and the Shenzhen-based high-tech company of Kenking Technology, the exoskeleton, weighing just 1.8 kilograms, which ain't all that much, wraps around the wearer's waist and thighs. Powered by AI, it senses the wearer's pace and movement, providing synchronized assistance to reduce fatigue and joint strain. Launched on January 29th with 10 units rented for trial operation, the device attracted more than 200 users at 60 yuan, which is about $8.37 US, to 80 yuan per use in the scenic area during the holiday, which ran until February 4th. Half of those who opted to rent the device were elderly people. Wang Jose, or it might be Wang Huze? I think it's Huze. Deputy Party Chief of the TCTG said the exoskeleton robots were introduced to allow elderly visitors the opportunity to experience the mountain's beauty firsthand. Some elderly tourists want to enjoy the scenery along the way, but sitting in a cable car limits their view. With the help of these robots, they can truly experience the joy of climbing, he said. The introduction of such exoskeleton robots has sparked broader discussions about their potential applications in elderly care, particularly with China facing the challenges of an aging society. The latest data shows that by the end of 2024, the population aged 60 and above in China was 310 million people, accounting for 22% of the country's total population. It is predicted that this percentage will further rise to 30% by 2035, with the elderly population to exceed 400 million by then. Eyeing this vast elderly care market, Ken King Technology, which focuses on R&D, production, and sales of exoskeleton robots, has released a lightweight exoskeleton designed for elderly users, integrating advanced sensors and motion control systems to assist with walking, running, and climbing, said Yu Yunbo, general manager of the company. Yu added that the company aims to release a new robot model this year, featuring lighter materials, smarter algorithms, and enhanced adaptability to the physical needs of elderly users. According to estimates, the market size of smart elderly care in China had reached 6.8 trillion yuan in 2024. Notably, the Chinese government has issued policies encouraging the development of smart elderly care. Uh-oh. I just saw Sue shouted. Oh, yeah, he is there. Yep, he's digging around. He's so glossy. For those who can't see him, he's right there. He's got a spot there that's almost like his refrigerator. If he doesn't finish food, he shoves it into that corner underneath a little clover that's in there. And it's like his little pantry, so I think he's checking it to see if he left any snacks. I'll have to feed him later. He's being good. Oh, and there he goes. I just saw his tail just climbing away. He's big. He hasn't molted or anything yet, so he's got some growing to do still. He's still a sub-adult. So we'll see how big he gets in the future. All right, back to the article. A national guideline to advance the silver economy, issued in early 2024, proposed the creation of a new model of intelligent health and elderly care. Promotion of the application of intelligent nursing and domestic service robots, and development of the rehabilitation assistive device industry. So big pushes on elderly care, especially utilizing exoskeletons, robotic assistants, really cool stuff. Last month, another national guideline on deepening the reform and development of elderly care services proposed acceleration of the development and application of elderly care technology and information technology. So really a lot of good elderly care initiatives going on over here. Bi Yale, Secretary General of the Shenzhen Robotics Association, said that policy-supported market cultivation is necessary to promote the large-scale application of elderly care robots and make their prices more affordable, an assessment Yu agrees with. The large-scale application of these technologies will drive down costs, making them more affordable for families, Yu noted. To all of these companies and the TCTG for utilizing exoskeleton assistance for the elderly and the infirm to be able to climb Mount Tai in China, cheers. Oh, I just looked and I see him climbing back there again. Such a funny bug. All right, that's going to take us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. How appropriate that Sue is walking around while we get into this topic. You just chilling, bud? He's just chilling. All right, we called this first one Buzz Off. And I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Invasive murder hornets are wiped out in the U.S., officials say. This article was posted, this is from CNN, but several news carriers carried this article, but I don't know how much traction it got. Because my feed didn't light up with it until just a week ago. Sue came out to hear the murder hornet story. So this was posted all the way back on December 19th of 2024 by CNN, and most of the other sites that ran the news, it was around the same time. So if you didn't hear about this, I don't blame you. I just don't think it got the circulation it deserved. This one was posted by the Associated Press on CNN News. The world's largest hornet, an invasive breed dubbed the murder hornet, for its dangerous sting and ability to slaughter a honeybee hive in a matter of hours, has been declared eradicated in the U.S., 5 years after being spotted for the first time in Washington state near the Canadian border. The Washington and U.S. Departments of Agriculture announced the eradication Wednesday of that month, saying there had been no detections of the northern giant hornet in Washington since 2021. The news represented an enormous success that included residents agreeing to place traps on their properties and reporting sightings, as well as researchers capturing a live hornet, attaching a tiny radio tracking tag to it with dental floss, and following it through a forest to a nest in an alder tree. Scientists destroyed the nest just as a number of queens were just beginning to emerge, officials said. So that's cutting it close. I've got to tell you, as an entomologist, I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and it is a rare day when the humans actually get to win one against the insects. Sven Spitziger, Pest Program Manager of the Washington State Department of Agriculture, told a virtual news conference. The hornets, which can be 2 inches long and were formerly called Asian giant hornets, gained attention in 2013 when they killed 42 people in China and seriously injured 1,675 people. In the U.S., around 72 people a year die from bee and hornet stings, according to data from the National Institutes of Health. The hornets were first detected in North America in British Columbia, Canada, in August of 2019 and confirmed in Washington state in December of 2019, when a Whatcom County resident reported a specimen. A beekeeper also reported hives being attacked and turned over specimens in the summer of 2020. The hornets could have traveled to North America in plant pots or shipping containers, experts said. DNA evidence suggested the populations found in British Columbia and Washington were not related and appeared to originate from different countries. There have also been no confirmed reports in British Columbia since 2021, and the nonprofit Invasive Species Center in Canada has said the hornet is also considered eradicated there. Northern giant hornets pose significant threats to pollinators and native insects. They can wipe out a honeybee hive in as little as 90 minutes, decapitating the bees and then defending the hive as their own, taking the brood to feed their own young. The hornets can sting through most beekeeper suits. They actually have a massive stinger by comparison to their size, and that's the problem. Like, standard beekeeper suits do not stand up to just how much force they can jab something with that stinger. It delivers nearly 7 times the amount of venom as a honeybee, and it can sting multiple times. At one point, the Washington Agriculture Department ordered special reinforced suits from China, where they're normally tackling it over in, Asian countries. Washington is the only state that has had confirmed reports of the northern giant hornet, and trappers found 4 nests in 2020 and 2021. Spitziger said Washington will remain on the lookout, despite reporting the eradication. He noted that entomologists will continue to monitor traps in Kitsap County, where a resident reported an unconfirmed sighting in October, but where trapping efforts and public outreach have come up empty. So far, nothing else seen. He noted that other invasive hornets can also pose a problem. Officials in Georgia and South Carolina are fighting yellow-legged hornets, and southern giant hornets were recently detected in Spain. Forgot to silence that. We will continue to be vigilant, Spitziger said. So, murder hornets, or northern giant hornets, eradicated in the U.S. It was big news. It is big news. A lot of folks know them from the videos of seeing them absolutely decimate honeybee hives, but they destroy everything. They're very obligate feeders. They destroy several pollinator species to feed their own young. Butterfly larvae, the caterpillars, moth larvae, like pretty much any insect prey they can get their jaws on, they will take back to the hive. So they're just really good and specialized at destroying honeybees too. So this is huge. So to everybody involved in Washington and British Columbia with preventing the spread and eradicating northern giant hornets from the United States and from British Columbia, Canada, cheers. I can see him at the back of the tank now. He's retreated a bit. I feel kind of sad. I tried to feed him one day, and he wasn't up for eating. And I gave him a superworm, which if you go back through some of the Nick's Flora and Fauna episodes, you'll find a superworm post, so you can see. What the heck was that? It's a little fly. I saw it get in front of the camera for a moment. So I posted in Nick's Flora and Fauna last year what a superworm looks like. It's a good feeder item for bugs and for different reptiles. So I tried to give him a superworm, and he absolutely refused it. And I ended up accidentally dropping it into the tank and losing it because they're really good at burrowing. And sure enough, the other day, a few weeks ago, I found a beetle, which is the metamorphosed form of a superworm. And now I can't find that beetle, so Sue probably got it at some point. So Sue isn't allowed to have friends. All right, let's get into this next article. We called it The Beauty of Conservation and Restoration. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I am also not going to lie. However this beer was brewed, it is affecting me. So I'm getting a little rosy while I'm reading this. Bison ranchers return thousands of animals to native lands and witness total rejuvenation of ecosystem. This was posted to goodnewsnetwork.org by Andy Corbley back on February 13th of 2025. I just hear him. He's just clacking along. He just punches the glass as he walks. like he's ringing the glass like, hey, you gonna feed me? You gonna feed me? A tribal-led nonprofit is creating a network of native bison ranchers that are restoring ecosystems on the Great Plains. Restoring native ranchers' connections with their ancestral land and restoring the native diet that their ancestors relied on. Called the Tanka Fund, they coordinate donors and partners to help ranchers secure grazing land access, funds needed to install and repair fencing, increase their herd sizes, and access markets for bison meat across the country. That's the human part of the story, but as Dawn Sherman, executive director of the Tanka Fund, told Native Sun News, they're buffalo people, and these four-legged 2,000-pound cousins are equal part protagonists. The return of the bison means the return of the prairie, one of the three great grassland ecosystems on the planet, of which just 1% remains as it was when the Mayflower arrived in the United States. Bringing buffalo back, well, when they arrived on a country that would later be known as the United States. I apologize. Bringing buffalo back to their ancestral homelands is essential to restoring the ecosystem. We know that the buffalo is a keystone species, said Dawn Sherman, a member of the Lakota, Delaware, Shawnee, and Cree. Producer Donna in the YouTube chat, you're such a mean bug dad, didn't feed the poor sweet baby. I have been feeding him on a regular schedule. It just so happens that earlier he would rather pick a fight with me than eat, so I will try to feed him after the broadcast. Back to the article. Bringing the buffalo back to the land and to our people helps restore the ecosystem and everything it supports, from the animals to the plants to the people. It comes full circle. That's how we see it, said Don Sherman. As Sherman and the Tanka Fund help native ranchers grow their operations, everyone is well aware of the power of the bison to transform the environment, just as nations across Europe are, who are reintroducing wood bison to various ecosystems for all the same reasons. Sherman points out the variety of ways in which buffalo anchor the prairie ecosystem. The almost extinct black-footed ferret, she points out, lived symbiotically with the bison, and with the latter gone, the former almost followed to extinction. The long-billed curlew uses bison dung as a disguise to hide their nests from predators. Deer, pronghorn antelope, and elk all rely on bison to plow through deep snow and uncover grasses that these animals can't otherwise reach. Everywhere the bison hurls its massive body, life springs in the beast's wake. When bison roll about on the plains, it creates depressions known as wallows. These fill with rainwater and create enormous puddles where amphibians and insects thrive and reproduce. Certain plants evolved to grow in the wet conditions of the wallows which Native Americans harvested for food and medicine. Native plants evolved under the trampling hooves of millions of bison, and that constant tamping down to the earth is a key necessity in the spreading of native wildflower seeds. Indeed, Sherman says some of these native ranchers are bringing bison onto land still visibly affected by the Dust Bowl, and already the animals are acting like a giant woolly cure-all for the land's ills. Since 2020, the Tanka Fund, in partnership with the Intertribal Buffalo Council and the Nature Conservancy, has overseen the transfer of 2,300 bison from Nature Conservancy reserves to lands managed by ranchers with the Tanka Fund network. Oh, no. No, Mary Jane. Absolutely not. Mary Jane in the Facebook chat just said, "Think you should bring out Sue, prop him up on your shoulder." Sue and I do not have that kind of relationship. When I purchased Sue, the previous owner, which was a pet shop, had said that they handled him without issue. I have not been able to garner that kind of respect from this animal. I'm going to continue to work with him, but he and I are not in a place where I would comfortably put him on my hand. He is extremely grabby, and one of the big things about Asian forest scorpions is they don't have very powerful venom. It's no worse than a bee sting, and I've been stung by tons of bees and hornets in my lifetime. So they're not normally very sting heavy, but their claws are very powerful. He is very sting crazy. So I don't want to try to hold him and just have him be jabbing me over and over and over if I make a mistake. So I'm going to work up to potentially having him rest on my hand, but I would never put him up on my shoulder. Another big thing for them, they don't have the best claws on their legs for climbing on a person. I don't want to risk him falling off because they're very mobile when they're out and about. He's been doing laps in the tank. I keep spotting him. Yeah, he's doing another lap right now, and I don't want to try to risk putting him up there. It would be funny, but not yet. Producer Donna, Sue fights with Nick and digs holes to hide Nick's body. Yep, he does. All right, back to the article. The more animals that we can get, the more of that prairie we can restore, said Don Sherman. We can help restore the land that has been plowed and has been leased out to cattle ranchers. And there is a video attached about the Tanka Fund if you want to watch that. So to everybody at the Tanka Fund, for the restoration of bison to their land, the buffalo returning to the prairie, and all of the nature that springs up, this crazy combination of conservation and restoration. Cheers. If you check out our Instagram, I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it tends to like gravitate towards flora and fauna that's going on in my place. I will try to post to the Instagram a story or a post where I'll show you Sue's hide and where he likes to tuck in, which makes it such a pain in the butt to check on him. So check out our Instagram, our Nick's News Instagram. Links are in the description and on our site, on our Facebook and our YouTube for it. And subscribe and check out some pictures from behind the scenes stuff, and you'll see some Sue stuff coming up here. Oh, we have a special Nick's News fauna update. Producer Donna absolutely forced me to include this in tonight's reading. So here we are with a special Nick's News fauna update. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, on the 13th of February, Wisdom the albatross, who we've had a couple of talkings about, she's the world's oldest known wild bird, has returned to her nest on Midway Atoll National Wildlife Refuge last week to care for a new chick. That's right. Wisdom's egg that we talked about on a previous episode of Nick's News hatched successfully, and she and her much younger boyfriend are doing a great job of taking care of their new fletchling. So to Wisdom, the world's oldest known wild bird, an albatross, and to her much younger boyfriend and to their new baby, cheers. And no, it wasn't beavers this time. All right, with that, we're going to get out of flora and fauna. We're going to move on to wholesome notes. And our first one that we have for the wholesome notes is a heckin' good boy article. And I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I'm not sure where he went to. The emotional moment, a dog was returned to its owners 7 years after being stolen. This was posted to goodnewsnetwork.org on February 12th of 2025 by Andy Corbley. An English family has been reunited with their beloved Labrador, Daisy, who was stolen from their front lawn 7 years ago. Their tireless search and advocacy for their lost family member attracted the attention of a British celebrity and even helped steer a law through Parliament. But the ultimate reward for the devotion to their lost dog was the chance to see her again, elderly and slightly battered, but alive and loving. In 2017, a truck arrived in front of Rita and Philip Potter's Norfolk house. 2 men hurriedly leapt out, grabbed Daisy, and stuffed her into the back of the truck, a despicable act seen by neighbors. Ruling out the possibility that Daisy got lost in the woods somewhere, the Potters contacted the police and urged a response. An RSPCA search in Somerset, 200 miles and 7 years later, has recovered a 13-year-old Daisy, who was likely the victim of an illegal pet breeding operation. A quick microchip scan, and Daisy was on her way home. We kept a photograph on the mantelpiece and would look at it every day thinking of her and where she might be, Mrs. Potter told the BBC. It is an absolute dream come true that the RSPCA found her and returned her to us, where she belongs. We are so grateful, said Mrs. Potter. Following Daisy's abduction, the Potters were active in the press and social media trying to ensure anyone who might have seen the dog understood where she had come from. Tom Hardy, the A-list action star from Dark Knight Rises and Inception, and also Venom, shared their post on his X account. The Potters then collected 100,000 signatures on a petition for greater government action to fight pet crime. The Pet Abduction Act changed the UK sentencing guidelines, making it a criminal offense with a prison sentence of up to 5 years. Fantastic. Previously, pets were considered property, and abducting them was punished under the UK's 1986 Theft Act. During the RSPCA's investigation, the owner agreed to turn Daisy over to the organization, explaining they had only had her for a few years and didn't know she could have been stolen. I'm going to call bullshit, but okay. At their facility, a microchip scan revealed Daisy's provenance, and the call to the Potters was an emotional one. They were obviously shocked, but elated at the same time, said RSPCA Inspector Kim Walters. I was a bit choked up from listening to them, and clearly how much they loved her, so it was great telling them that we would get her back home soon. Now in her golden years, and with several health issues from a half-decade of maltreatment, the Potters look forward to loving, spoiling, and caring for Daisy. To the RSPCA for locating Daisy the Labrador after 7 years since she was stolen, and to Daisy and her family who never gave up. Cheers. You're a heckin' good girl, Daisy. All right, last article of the night is going to be a Not All Heroes Wear Capes article. And I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Chris in the YouTube chat for the Buffalo article said, "Yay, buffalo ribs." Sorry, Chris, that I didn't get to that earlier. All right, here we go. Retired veteran teams up with nonprofit to build free ramps for senior and disabled neighbors. Before Pete Adler enlisted in the Army, this was posted to goodgoodgood.co back on February 15th of 2025 by Megan Cook. With that out of the way, before Pete Adler enlisted in the Army, he majored in architecture. Now, after spending 25 years in equipment maintenance and supply, and another 17 years as a civilian employee, Adler is back to his architectural roots. And it's for a good cause, building free ramps for his senior and disabled neighbors. Adler began helping his neighbors after the nonprofit project Homes gave a presentation at his local Rotary Club. In an interview with Women's World, Adler recalls the representative saying, "Too many seniors and disabled individuals need ramps, but they can't afford them." That's when Adler reached out to his clergy so that they could start building ramps for neighbors in need. "I feel this is my calling, and I'd like to start a crew," he told fellow church member Karen Scott, who was eager to jump in and help. Adler's group of volunteers has only grown with time. Now, when he pulls up to a house for an installation, he has about a dozen people by his side to haul lumber, work the saws, and assemble the deck. "It's turned into an amazing ministry service," Adler said. "I really enjoy the process and the teamwork, and figuring out the best solution for people in need. When a recipient can afford it, they are only charged with the cost of the materials. If they need help covering the cost, Project Homes steps in to pay the full price, which is usually around $2,000. In their 2024 Impact Report, Project Homes devoted a full-page spread to Pete the Ramp Champ and his achievements. Adler and his team of volunteers from Grace Lutheran Church have transformed lives by building over 500 accessibility ramps for households in need, the nonprofit wrote. Lieutenant Colonel Adler has gone from building 1 ramp per weekend to completing 3, sometimes 4 ramps each week across the Tri-City area. 71-year-old Juanita Barnes is one of the 500 neighbors that Adler has helped through Project Homes. After a stroke and a heart attack, Barnes found it difficult to navigate the stairs with her walker. She was confined to her home for months, getting groceries delivered and calling doctors to her door, until Adler and his team swooped in to help. "Now I can go where I need to go," Barnes said. "Pete and the others were a true blessing." And there are a couple of posts regarding Pete Adler and his accomplishments, along with Project Homes. So, to Lieutenant Colonel Pete Adler, for all of the work you are doing, building ramps for the folks who need it. Not all heroes wear capes, sir. Cheers. Well, that is going to wrap it up. We had 7 amazing articles. I want to thank everyone so much for everything that you sent in this last week, and previously, all the articles that we've been looking at. Thank you again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nix News Facebook and YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, so our next episode is going to be on February 23rd, 2025. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can message or post suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and of course, good news articles that we can submit on future episodes. If you throw a bunch at us, I do appreciate if you could spread it out across our major categories, and those categories, again, are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that get to our hearts that we like to end on. You can message us on Facebook or our Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links in the description, as well as on our websites. We check them regularly, especially the messages. So by all means, get a hold of us there or email us. Like, we're checking them. We love seeing everything that y'all send in. It's fantastic. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment on Facebook and YouTube posts that we have to get that good news and joy out in the algorithm. I'm not going to tell you to do anything, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything that y'all do with likes, comments, subscribing to our stuff, just shares, especially. Like, that's another big one that we now are getting into, is folks are sharing our stuff, and I can't say thank you enough to all of you. I love you all, and you all are making us get good news out into the algorithms for YouTube and Facebook when people probably need it most. So thank you all again, and as always, as I say, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.